ABC24 This Week starts right now.
Welcome to ABC24 This Week. I'm Pepper Baker in for Richard Ransom. We're glad that you're with us for our look at the real stories behind the big stories, and hopefully you'll continue to join us every Sunday at either 9 a.m. or 10:35 p.m. All right, let's start talking about these topics today. Starting off, explosive news of Shelby County Commissioner Edmund Ford Jr. turning himself into federal authorities today after being indicted on bribery and tax evasion charges. It's the talk of the town and all over social media, so we'll get into the juicy details. Then next we'll discuss, instead of entering into a consent decree with the Department of Justice, the City of Memphis' solution is a 9-member task force to oversee police reform. This all stems from the DOJ's investigation after Tyree Nichols was beaten to death by 5 former Memphis cops. We will show you the chosen 9 members of the task force and see if anyone sticks out. And then cleanup on aisle MSCS. At the latest school board meeting, members came up with what they call a governance plan to earn back the public's trust and work towards much needed improvements. It's one of the first meetings since the controversial firing of former Superintendent Dr. Marie Fagans back in January. So we'll see what this plan is all about, or if it's all talk. And if we have time, there's a Memphis cop that shot and killed a lady's dog. It's all caught on video. It happened 5 months ago, but the woman doesn't think the cop was punished enough. And when you see the video, you can decide for yourself if we have time. So let's go ahead and introduce our wonderful guests. We have our political analyst, Otis Sanford, and of course, just renowned, I would say, Daily Memphian reporter Sam Hardiman, to me at least. Thank you all so much for being here. So kicking off, yes, this explosive news, Edmund Ford Jr. coming out facing this indictment, turning himself in, 1 count of bribery and kickbacks charges, 6 counts of attempts to evade or defeat tax. So you all have both done very robust reporting on this. Sam, we'll start with you. Is this surprising? Give us some background. Just what were your first initial thoughts?
Yeah, so first, 2 years ago now, in May of 2023, the FBI raided a house associated with Ford. It's owned by his father and his mother. And it's sort of gone quiet for about 2 years. We hadn't heard anything. And then last night, word came out that he was turning himself into federal authorities. This morning, we saw the indictment unsealed, and it is quite something. It is much more extensive than what we knew of at the time. And and first, I want to shout out former Commercial Appeal, current MLK 50 reporter Catherine Burgess, who's occasionally on this program, who broke the story of Edmund Ford Jr. Having junior achievement, a grant to junior achievement by computers from his company, E&J Computer Services. Now we see in this federal indictment that E&J Computer Services allegedly has received a lot of kickback money from Shelby County grant dollars as well as Memphis City Council grant dollars, seeing that this was going back to his time on the city council. And when you read this, it's really quite lengthy and what I would say is astounding is how long this went on.
Yes, definitely. You talk about years. So, Otis, when I say surprising, it doesn't seem like it would be. Just how do you think about just the tracking of how the county and the city has kind of let this happen?
Well, that's kind of surprising, too, because I just don't believe that this should be a big surprise to some people in the know here. There's been a lot of talk about these grant programs. Maybe we'll get in this segment to talking about whether there should be some reforms of the grant program. But when Catherine broke the story back in, I think it was December of 2020, it created buzz then because it was a huge story. And of course, Edmund Ford kept changing the stories about that and then wound up not talking about it at all. And then, according to this indictment, that he continued to do this, allegedly, but he continued to do this, and even more than just that $45,000. We're talking about over $250,000, according to this indictment, that he siphoned off from the grants from the city and the county to sell computers, and then got this methodical plan to move the money around to wind up in accounts that he controlled. And to Sam's point about, it going dormant since that the raid, I think, the search at the house in 2023, as someone who covered federal court for many years, I understand now why it was dormant. They were doing a very methodical investigation here, very methodical, to include the tax part of it, and to the point of getting video from a bank, an ATM at a bank, I think it was the Regions Bank, that showed him withdrawing money from the account where they had already traced the money into that account. So this was a methodical investigation by the federal FBI and anybody else who was involved. And that's why it took so long. But this is a bombshell. I would say this is the biggest political scandal in this town since Tennessee Waltz back in 2005.
Yeah, that is very big. I know you mentioned the amounts here. So instead, in addition to the junior achievement scandal, I mean, this indictment talks about $250,000 from 2017 to 2020 that it was deposited from various nonprofits into Ford Jr.'s, one of his companies. And then the other one was awarding a $28,500 grant to one nonprofit, and he did not disclose his relationship to that nonprofit or recuse himself. So when we talk about, we've already gotten some of these county commissioner responses. Amber Mills is talking about her 6 years. She's known him to be a dedicated, honorable public servant. Shelby County Commission Chair Michael Whaley is just talking about that this is going to defer to the legal process, and if it is proven true, it is disheartening. What do you all think about his colleagues and just how much they might have known or how they're reacting to all of this?
Well, first, I mean, these grant programs, it's not just Commissioner Ford, and I'm saying not just Commissioner Ford in the sense of participating with these grant programs. These grant programs work essentially where there's an allocation of taxpayer dollars that is then doled out by the commission, and each of them get an allotment, and on the city council. This continues on the city council too, and each of them get an allotment to various nonprofits. And so all of the commission is, they have to vote on these things. They're participating in this process. I'm not saying they're participating in the criminality of this process, but they're participating in the process. And I think what's telling about the statements that you've read from the Shelby County Commission is they have the ability under the law to oust him. But what we're seeing in these statements early on, at least, and we don't have a majority of the commission weighing in yet, but we're seeing that there maybe isn't political will to do that. That maybe we're just going to wait for the process to play out, the legal system and the legal justice, the wheels of justice turn very slowly. And so we're going to see. But to the broader point, and I think Otis will probably touch on this in a second, these are taxpayer dollars. We're in a city that's cash strapped, that doesn't have a lot of discretionary room in its budget. We're in a county that's cash strapped, doesn't have a lot of discretionary room in its budget. These grant dollars, there's opportunity costs to them. When they go to these nonprofits, many of whom do good work in the community, there are things that they aren't paying for taxpayer services. And that is a question that I think us journalists should be raising of, are there better uses of this money? Because we definitely see this alleged abuse in this indictment.
No question about it. And I see in the statements that you read there, Pepper, the county commissioners are just sort of circling the wagons around one of their own. They don't want to be out there criticizing him. Although, as I said earlier, this is not a surprise to them. This came out in 2020 with the Junior Achievement Grant. And plus, that was an independent report by lawyer Brian Fulgerman, who said that clearly that Edmund Ford Jr. Committed ethical violations related to this. So this is not a surprise, but I'm not surprised to see them saying what they said. Plus, you got to remember now, in this indictment, there are a lot of other people involved in this because the money had to go to Ford in a lot of different ways, and there are a lot of people who are not named, and there are some, the companies are not named. And so all of that's going to come out at some point. We'll see.
The vetting process for the grants is definitely going to be key in this. But thank you. We could talk about this all day, but we do have to move on. When we return, we're going to talk about the new task force that the City Council has now appointed to oversee police reform. Stick around.